Those Who Wish Me Dead, the brand new Angelina Jolie film. And to be honest, this movie wasn't on my radar until like a month and a half ago. Didn't know this movie was coming out, but I saw the trailer. Warner Bros. Was kind of heavily marketing it, just like, hey, here's the poster, and plus here's the trailer. So I watched the trailer, and I was hooked by it. You look at the cast, you're like, this is a stellar cast. You look at the director, and you're like, this is the director of Wind River, which is a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, treat yourself. So I'm there on day one. I mean, normally I am there on day one, and normally on the first showing of the day. But I was like, I'm hooked. I'm going to see this movie. It wasn't going to be on the list, but now it is on the list. And I just finished watching the movie, and what I will say is, it's not Wind River. Wind River is like on a whole different aspect of it, but it is still confidently made. It is absolutely a well done, put together movie. There's some bits and pieces, and you can kind of see some people might find like this kind of not interesting, or the stuff that's good, but then like when the better stuff comes around, like the good stuff's kind of in a way kind of negative, if that makes sense. But this movie is fantastic. I mean, the story, like, this movie kind of shows that you can tell a type of story like a billion times, but if it's done well, you kind of don't care that you have seen this type of story a billion times, which is someone's getting hunted down by two hitmen because they're a witness, and they bump into the main character, who is a regular Joe, who has a certain skill set, and the rest of the movie is them getting hunted down and kind of fighting their way till the end of the movie of these two hitmen. I mean, that's essentially what the movie is. I mean, that's essentially, do you not list several movies before this movie? Honestly, you might say yes. But it is well written together. There's a lot of character. There's a sense of history with those characters. Even, with a short period of time, it is really well put together. Now, the first half of the movie, because the first half is kind of like, here's Hannah, Angelina Jolie's character. You had a storyline, and you got the witness, this kid storyline kind of going two separate directions, and they kind of merge. And you can kind of sense for some people that it might be a little bit too slow. Like, it's good, but if you're there for the trailers, and the trailers is kind of hinting this big action thriller, and you're expecting like shootouts like by minute 10, this ain't gonna be the movie. Even though the one time's 100 minutes, this isn't gonna be that type of film. It's a movie that takes its time, that fleshes out the characters, set up the relationship between each of these characters, and it really well puts together this aspect of things. Now, one of the criticisms, and it is one of the criticisms I have with this movie, is that I think it's in the trailers as well, so I'm not really spoiling it as much, but in the film, Hannah has PTSD, and she is a rescue ranger. She, is had a experience dealing with a bushfire, and she gets PTSD from it. And they touch on it, but it's like touching it as much as tapping on it. It's not. They mention it maybe twice, maybe 3 times, but it's not really a heavy part of the movie, or they don't really dive as much as you would think, because it's just one of the situations of it doesn't go anywhere, and maybe in the script it did, or in your head it kind of did, but it kind of just, like, for me, I was like, why is this here? Could you easily just cut this stuff out and it wouldn't really change much of the movie, really? Because what it would come across is, oh, she's just a bit of a thrill seeker. That's basically what it comes across as. And that the villains, but most of this movie is really well put together. I mean, The villains are smart in this film. Like, you know, when it comes to movies, your head's thinking, well, in real life, someone could obviously notice that. They've noticed it. You know, when people, like, cover things with their foot, someone spots it. And they're like, hey, what are you doing? Back away. Well, clearly, that person was tracking. Why were you hiding it? The codename thing of, like, hey, yeah, you want to pick up some, hey, make sure you pick up some milk at the blah blah, knowing, and they immediately know that that person's bullshitting. And you're like, wow, these are smart, really smart villains, really smart hitmen, and you're like, wow, absolutely put together. Surprisingly, Tyler Perry was good in this movie. I think that anytime I see Tyler Perry in not a non-Madea movie, I kind of like, he can act. He's not just being like a deer and doing that whole stuff. So I was kind of impressed over that. But when the performances are great, I mean, Angelina Jolie is Angelina Jolie. Do you think, has there ever been a movie, like, maybe the movie wasn't good, but was she in it? Was she bad in it? I don't think so. I don't think she has botched her performance. So, you know, it's like, Angelina, what do you expect? You know, you got John Berthold, who's fantastic in the movie. You got Nicholas Hoult, who's fantastic in the movie. Oh, the guy who plays Littlefinger, he's in the movie, from Game of Thrones, who played, you know, Littlefinger in Game of Thrones. He's fantastic in the movie. It's a really well put together movie that has a sense of timing, because, you know, the whole idea is like these hitmen that starting a bushfire, so the whole town can be focused on that, versus, you know, them getting, you know, there's gunshots in the area, and because of it, there's a sense of timing, a sense of dread, a sense of, yes, these characters are getting chased, but also they might get killed by the flames, and have to be okay and make sure that they don't get burnt or get injured or whatever it is. So there's like a ticking clock one way, and there's a ticking clock the other way, and you're like, god damn, you're a bit screwed. But yeah, I mean, this movie is absolutely well done, put together, really well paced and placed it, and it probably will, like, you know, we're in May, so it's probably still a little bit early, but right now, when end of the year, I'm on Letterboxd and kind of figuring out what are my top 5, top 10 films of the year, I'm probably right now, I'm going to put it in there. It's a really well put together film,